Back here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. The Centre on 8th of January was given the last opportunity to make its stand clear on enforcement of Uniform Civil Code in the country and was asked to file its response within 4 weeks. Centre failed to file the affidavit even after 4 weeks. The top court today expressed displeasure, and with one final opportunity, the Supreme Court imposed fine on Centre. Here's what the court said. So the Supreme Court told Centre you have to take a stand. Supreme Court also said it's not fair that the affidavit is not filed. Will grant one further opportunity. There have always been arguments for and against the UCC. While some say that the UCC will end discrimination in religion, some argue that it violates the fundamental right to religion. But given how one after the other deadlines are being missed by the Centre to file the affidavit in the apex court to not make it stand clear, how should we really interpret this particular action of the Centre? Is Centre dragging its feet as far as the issue of UCC is concerned? Let's try and understand from our guest joining us on the broadcast on Urban Debate this evening. We have Tuhin Sinha, BJP spokesperson, joining us. Professor Dinesh Varshney, CPI leader, live with us. Kapil Madad, who is Congress supporter. We have Manasvi Thapar, senior lawyer, joining us. Also joining us is Dr. Tasleem Ahmed Rahmani, President, Muslim Political Council. I appreciate all of you for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Tuhin Sinha, let me begin the discussion with you. You know, earlier also the Supreme Court had given one final deadline to the Centre to file the affidavit. Why is the Centre not filing the affidavit on UCC? Is Centre dragging its feet on UCC?
Well, Heena, good evening. To my understanding, the Supreme Court's reservations or observations today were confined to Section 2F of the National Commission for Minority Education Institution Act 2004. There is a plea which has challenged the same. And if you look at it, it is about the provision to allow state governments to declare minorities depending upon the demography of the respective states. Now, it is a very sensitive issue because India per se was always meant to be a majority. The Hindus were always meant to be in majority. And there has been deliberate demographic tampering in certain states, which has been corroborated by none other than one of the ex-CPM chief ministers, V. Achyutanandan in Kerala, who has said this on record that there is an attempt by certain groups to tamper the religious demography of Kerala. So that makes it a very sensitive and nuanced issue. And the Centre, is right in taking more time in deciding its particular stand on it. The Centre is, not taking a stand is always better than taking a stand which can be faulted later. So I think it is a matter of time. These are procedural issues, and Supreme Court imposing a fine of 7,500 doesn't mean anything, really.
Okay. Dr. Rahmani, this 7,500 rupee fine doesn't really mean anything. That's what Mr. Tuhin Sinha of the BJP believes. But how will you like to react to the development today with regard to UCC? While Centre was being given time to file the affidavit by the Supreme Court, but the deadlines are being missed.
No, you see, the government, the Delhi High Court has also asked one of the petitioners to come out with an affidavit, and the government of India has submitted that UCC is not possible as of now. Just last year, I think, they have submitted this affidavit to the Delhi High Court, and then the case was referred to the Supreme Court of India. But I want to remind you and all your viewers that in 2018 itself, the Law Commission of India has said that what is more needed is the codification of various personal laws in the country. We have more than 3,000 personal laws in the country. We have so many diversities, not only religious, but tribal personal laws are there. So we have to unify all those laws, and it is the prerogative of the government under the guiding principles of the Constitution of India to come out with a blueprint, that what will be the blueprint of that UCC. And once the blueprint is available, then only we can discuss and dialogue about the draft. If the government is not coming out, either the government shall come out with their efforts to make the codification of laws like as of the Hindu Code Bill, The same way the Muslim code bill, Christian code bill, the Sikh code bill, Jain code bill, and other code bills can be produced inside the parliament and discussed. If they are not doing that, they are bent upon the UCC, then they must have to come out with a blueprint of that UCC. Otherwise, it is just a political activity, and to eke out the political results, the UCC is always, this issue is raised and discussed without any achievement or results. So this is a political gimmick, and I think that is the reason that the Supreme Court of India today has imposed a fine on the central government. Even if it is 1 rupee, that doesn't matter. But if the central government is fined by a top court, then it matters a lot.
Well, absolutely. Professor Dinesh Varshney, where do you stand on this entire matter? Because it's not the amount here, that we are really talking about, but it's that centre has been asked to pay a fine, and yet again, one final opportunity has been given by the top court to the centre to come out and clear its stand.
I agree with this. Look, even if a 1 rupee fine on the central government for not giving the Supreme Court itself shows that the incompetency of the government. You may whatever petitioner say that some state has done the demographic attempt. This is all rubbish. All the data the central government has, and central government was supposed to submit the affidavit on time. They have not given. Second thing, behind this perspective, it was the RSS agenda for uniform civil code. We were always saying that it needs a consensus, because always the personal laws are made as by taking the traditions of the people of belonging to that religious group or that community or that tribal group into consideration. Whether it is the first code of law of Susa, or later on Hammurabi code of law, or later on Roman code of law, or the Indian constitution. Similarly, you have to see to it what Mr. Rahmani said is correctly. You see, you have to first codify the various over 3,000 personal laws into the different definition and brought into one group. When the government gives proposal, then a joint political party meeting should be called. It will take time. The government and the BJP should withdraw their agendas of communalization of each and every item in the country, each and every aspect of the country. That is a problem. Therefore, we request the government of India to call for all party meetings immediately and deal with the issue and submit the affidavit to the Honorable Supreme Court. It's a great insult to the government of India by seeing this fine.
Okay. Kapil Madan, how will you like to respond to the development that has taken place? And, because in the past, we have seen how several BJP leaders coming out and saying that, it is the need of the hour, it needs to be implemented. In fact, it also figured as one of the promises in BJP's manifesto ahead of the 2019 parliamentary elections. And now the centre is not, submitting the affidavit, not clarifying its view, its stand on the matter.
Okay, let me first respond by clarifying what exactly has happened. As my friend Tuhin has rightly said, that the issue before the Supreme Court in this particular case was whether the Hindus can be declared as a minority for the purposes of the Act, for the purposes of 2F of the National Commission for Minority Education Institution Act 2004, because as per the previous decision of the Honorable Supreme Court, it is the state that needs to be taken into account to decide whether a particular community is a minority or it is not a minority. Now, coming to now addressing the UCC issue, why the government is dragging feet. Now, one thing is very, very clear. The fact that the government is not able to clarify its stand insofar as that petition is concerned shows one thing, that is that the government is not really wants to address this issue. They, as they always do, are looking for an opportunity to politicize this issue. And also, I would like to say, in the context of UCC, the Law Commission in 2017 has very elaborately clarified that in a country like India, UCC does not appears to be a viable possibility, considering the fact that we have so many religions and we have also seen different sects in the religions. And given the situation that you have here, the UCC, as per the Law Commission's report, is not a possibility. However, the ruling government as uses time and again as a plank to polarize, and don't be surprised that they would want to do it at a time when it serves their interest the most.
Okay, those are some important comments you have made, and we'll get Tuhin Sinha to respond to those as well. But before that, I want to go across to Manasweet Harper as well for the opening comments. Going by what happened in the court today, do you believe on this overall issue of UCC, the government is dragging its feet?
Good evening, Heena. I don't think the government is very serious about UCC. Why do I say that? Is the first time UCC came in a manifesto of any political party was BJP in 1998. After that, till 2022, today, we are standing. The first political party which made an avowment to the people of this nation was that we should have a UCC, we should have a uniform civil code for the public of India, for the citizens of India, was BJP. They were the people who have propagated this idea. This idea has been long there in India, but the political party who had codified this idea in the minds of people were the BJP members. Even from 1998 till today, and it was reconfirmed in 2019 when it was again a part of their manifesto that UCC would be there. It is an insult to Article 44 of the Constitution also. Now coming to the understanding of UCC, why is UCC necessary and why BJP is playing a game in this UCC game, as my friend Kapil confirmed this. Why I do say that, from Shah Bano's case to Shalla's case to Lily Thomas' case to all the cases which have happened in Supreme Court, the Supreme Court have categorically mentioned that there is a time in India right now that we should have a codified civil law. And this is not the only country which is talking about UCC. Australia has it, Canada has it, Germany has it, Uzbekistan is having it. So why not India, after 75 years of independence, have UCC? But the point of interest here is, are we united to have UCC, or is this a political gimmick for the people in power to have UCC? So whenever the elections would come up, so this idea of UCC would suddenly blossom, germinate, that we should have UCC. But while we are in power from 2014 till 2019, there was not a mention of UCC in the parliament. In 2019 onwards, there was mention of the UCC twice in the parliament, but nothing substantial actually happened. And now what is happening, the cult of parliamentarians, what we are seeing is they just bombard the people in power. Basically, they just bombard laws in the eyes of the parliamentarians, in our honorable MPs. But then we don't have a debate, we don't have a discussion. India is a diverse nation. We are not like Australia, we are not like UK or USA. We are a diverse nation. We need to have a proper understanding and mandate between all the political spectrums. That is not having. So we cannot put the onus on BJP directly, but the responsibility is of BJP. The 21st Law Commission also says that this is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. So that consultation paper also comes from the BJP's Law Commission report. So is BJP serious? So we need to understand the prime time of this country, during the time when debates should happen in the parliament, during the time when we talk about the 21st century of India. We need to, when BJP is the propagators that we should not have colonial laws, and personal laws are basically completely colonial mindset. So are we moving ahead, or are we just moving on a political mileage game? So that is something which needs to be clarified, because we should not at all play with the minds, innocent minds of people of this country.
Okay, Tuhin Sinha, straight question then. Because the view is that, it's always used as a political ploy. From 2014, we have heard that the government wants to come out with UCC. It's serious about UCC. In 2019, it was part of the manifesto as well. But then when it comes to actually coming out and clarifying its stand, there's nothing. So is the government then not ready as yet?
I had confined my initial comments to the section 2F of the National Commission for Minority Education Act. But yes, let me once and for all clarify our stand on UCC. The UCC is an ideological commitment for us in the same way that the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A was, in the same way that the construction of Ram Temple was, and in the same way that CAA was. But then all of these things today are a reality, but they all took their own time. Now, why do we need UCC? Because different laws when it comes to inheritance, adoption, and personal laws, with regard to marriage, all of these lead to, number one, dysfunctional society in certain sections of the country, in certain sections of the society, and number two, they lead to gender inequality. So, if Hindus were progressive enough to accept the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955, there is no room for bigamy to exist in this day and age, and at least feminists and true feminists, because half the feminists are just photo of feminists. At least feminists should realize the fallacy of not having UCC in a progressive country like India. So while we stand committed to it, it requires a certain consensus building, it requires a certain thought building, and we agree that the time is not right for it. We are ready to wait. You can keep asking Tariq ka bataoge in the same way that you kept asking about Article 370, but all of these things are a reality today. And UCC will be a reality because it's one of our ideological commitments.
Okay, Manasvi, will you like to respond? Because, going by what Tuhin is telling us, going by how the center is, taking this matter, we also need to see the fact that it is something very, very sensitive. And given, the diverse country that we live in, it can't be done suddenly. It just can't, overnight, you can't think that from tomorrow onwards, UCC is going to be implemented. So if the center is taking its own time, don't you think even that's right?
I think center should tell it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the one who's asking. They should tell. They should not play games with Supreme Court. They are telling in the Supreme Court that we need some time to give a reply. They are not giving any replies. Now, when my friend Tuhin said about that we need some time, I just went to the Sankalp Patra of BJP, page number 36, which talks about cultural heritage. In that page, there is a page number 37 and para 11, which talks about uniform civil code. So now, when BJP says in 2014, which is their Sankalp Patra, so till 2022, there is no answer on UCC. So when are they going to answer? So our politicians, their manifestos mean nothing to them. So BJP politicians come, release this manifesto, and we as voters believe their manifesto. People vote them because of their manifesto, of their understanding, and ideologically, people thought the uniform civil code is good for this country. That is why they waited for. They should have simply not betrayed the trust of the people and simply mentioned after 4 years, in 2023, we'll be preparing a draft and showing it to the public. We'll discuss in the Supreme Court. We'll discuss with the Parliament. That is not there. So it is ambiguous. So what Tuhin says, I completely agree with him, because what the manifesto now is confirmed by Tuhin is ambiguous. There is no clarity on the date. There is no mentioning. So this may go this manifesto may be repeated in 2024, that we'll bring up UCC. This has been the case since 1998. So this means this particular point is not a very priority point for BJP. That can be a political point, a great political point. They're winning elections on it, but that may not be a priority.
Can I answer that?
Okay, I'll give you time to respond. Yeah, 10 seconds, Tuhin Sinha. Then Kapil, yeah.
Love it when people do this Tariq ka bataoge on us, because they have no idea that CAA was first discussed in Parliament immediately after partition in 1950. CAA was aggressively discussed in the same Parliament, and people like Lohia were in support of CAA way back in 1962. So it takes time to bring these laws. I already counted 3 path-breaking moves, 3 path-breaking ideological commitments which we have fulfilled, which includes the Ram Temple, which includes CAA, which includes Article 370. So
Heena, just 5 seconds.
We don't want unrest in the society, but this law is important, so we will ensure proper thought building. And to my answer to Professor who says all these things that I say, probably the professor does not trust his own ex-CM of Kerala, V. Achyutanandan, because if you just do a Google search, you will find V. Achyutanandan alleging that the people...
Heena, just give me 5 seconds.
Okay. Quick response, Manasvi, only 5 seconds, please. Okay,
I'll not take
Tuhin
more than
Sinha
5
says
seconds.
it takes time, but it will happen.
It takes
Manasvi,
time, yeah.
5 seconds only.
And yeah, this is Sankalp Patra, Sankalpit Bharat, Sashakt Bharat. So this is the Sankalp Patra of BJP. There is no mention of 3 farm laws. And when they say it takes time, they can do anything and everything, but there is no commitment to this manifesto. So BJP does not commit to its own manifesto.
Okay.
So this is what Tuhin is
Kapil,
trying to say.
Trusters. Our voters
okay.
will-
Okay, Kapil Madan. I'll get Tuhin Sinha to respond to that. 1 second. Kapil Madan first, then Professor Varshney. Yes, Kapil.
So I would just like to add what my learned friend just said, that if the intent is there, if they are not looking for an opportunity to politicize it, we've seen how they passed the farm laws, no discussion, no debate, stakeholders were not consulted, nobody was taken into confidence, and the laws were passed. And when they could not save their face, when the farm protests went out of their hand, they did the same thing. They repealed the laws, no debate, nothing. MPs were suspended, and they just, if there was an intent, they just repealed the law without the debate. Now, what it shows, I would agree with my friend who just spoke previously, preceding me, that it is they don't have an intent. They just want to use it as a lollipop to polarize people, to polarize elections, and to draw political mileage out of it. We've all seen the hallmark of the ruling government. They don't believe in discussion. They don't believe in debates. They pass laws just like a slack of a hand, and they repeal laws just like a slack of a hand.
Okay, Professor Varshney. Now, BJP's view is that we fulfill some of the other promises. For example, Article 370. So don't ask for Tariq on this one because, this is a serious matter. It takes time. How will you like to respond?
First of all, Heena, let me tell you, the Uniform Civil Code as part of the communal agenda of the BJP or RSS is not only from 2014. We are hearing it from our student days. This is a regular agenda of the RSS. As and when they feel a problem, they raise these issues, the communal agenda of UCC, Pakistan Chale Jao, Hindu, Musliman. These are their regular practices. And they do it as and when they feel that they are going, the communalism is under attack or price rise is very much there. And since 2014, this is the first time a phenomena in the government of India after independence, that they do not consult the other political parties. He's talking, why only 3 farm laws? See the land acquisition bill. Modi ji has to withdraw it. And everybody know how 3 farm laws have been passed in the Rajya Sabha. Pass. If you dare to, please put the attendance register of the Rajya Sabha on that day to the public. You will come to know that you were in the minority on that day because Akali Dal did not support the farm law on that day. And everybody know that you were short of 10 members of parliament in majority on that day. 13 or 11 members, I think. So therefore, don't tell us about Article 370 also, that is a part of your communal agenda. We are still, the nation is not, the consensus in the nation is, other than the BJP, that you must bring this, you must repeal this, you must withdraw this abrogation of Article 370 or 35. So this is, unfortunately, this government do not consult the people of India, that means the all political parties. Despite the fact that they command only 40% vote of the country, still the 60% of the vote is commanded by the other political parties. So there should be a consultative process. This is all a gimmick. They will raise the issue. They will sit down, and then they will feel comfortable. They will again raise it and sit down. You have seen in the UP election what is going on. Jinnah. Arey, what are you talking about, Jinnah? You have to read the role of Jinnah in the freedom struggle and during the partition also. Who gave the two-nation theory? It is the RSS.
Okay.
It is the RSS who gave the two-nation theory. Which petition to come?
Let's not deviate from the topic that we are discussing now. Current issue, of course, is of UCC. There are many other issues, Professor Varshney, that you've raised as well. Maybe we'll discuss it some other day. But talking about UCC, Dr. Rahmani, how will you like to respond to the argument of Mr. Tuhin Sinha of the BJP that, it takes takes time. Don't
You
ask
see,
for a specific date from us. We are doing our due diligence.
yes, certainly we shall not ask for the time, but I want to remind here what the exact text of Article 44 of the Guiding Principles of Constitution of India. It says it is the duty of the state to keep on endeavor and effort so that every citizen of the country agrees on a uniform civil code. So this is the government of India, which is to continue its effort towards the agreement on a UCC. So what are the efforts in the meantime? Any government, be it the Congress government or the BJP government who has this agenda of their election manifesto. And then after the Law Commission of India report that the codification of various personal laws should be done, what are the effects in this direction the government of India did? At least if they are not coming out with a blueprint or a draft of UCC, or it will take time, but at least they should have to elaborate that what are the efforts in this direction. Number one. Number two, Mr. Twin has said that it is about the minorities education institutions. Yes, I know. There is a report from some child commission that China related. I exactly don't remember the name of the commission, but the government is trying to conduct some surveys, etc., to paint a picture that 78% of the minority education institutions do cater only the majority community and not the minority community, and that must be a pretext and reason to curtail all the finances provided to the minority education institution. And the process is on the way. They have just collected some report. The analysis is going on, and I am very much apprehensive that in a very short period of time, and after this, the fine imposed on the central government, the government will take some hasty steps to curtail the finances to the minority education institution. So that's what I feel, that deliberate attempts are done to create some reasons and pretext to deny the financial assistance to all the minority education institutions in the country.
Tuhin Sinha, will you like to respond? Because the ASG referred to the COVID-19 situation today in the court and said that, the government would take a stand. So if indeed the idea is to have a consultative process, what's happening then in this regard? Why can't the center then tell the apex court that it's not ready? It wants probably more time.
Only I think the representative of the center in the Supreme Court would be in the best position to give an answer. But let me, because I'm not in that position to give an answer which the center would be giving to the court, let me just expand the scope of this debate. I just hope you had a, female and a Muslim female on this panel. And, if you had asked her that would she in today's day and age approve a different, adoption law, inheritance law, and would she approve bigamy? The thing is, today, after the abolition of triple talaq, there is a section of Muslim women who equally realize the fallacy of age-old practices and who might support UCC. UCC is about gender equality, neutrality. Who would have a problem with that? Essentially, it is about that. It is about not leading to a dysfunctional...
No, but nobody has a problem. The question that I'm asking is the center dragging its feet? Nobody has a problem with that. We want to know how soon can that become reality.
Absolutely
Dr.
not.
Rahmani, quick response.
I knew that the BJP spokesperson will raise this triple talaq issue at this juncture, but I want to remind him again that the Supreme Court verdict about triple talaq has nothing to do with UCC. It has just restored the process of talaq to the Quranic way, exactly within the ambit of Muslim personal law. So that has nothing to do with a uniform civil code if you are trying to combine both the issues. So please correct your stand about it.
Okay. Tuhin Sinha, quick response.
I'm just saying
Then I'll go across to Manasvi Thapar. Yeah.
Have a little more patience, because every time the opposition and you people get impatient, we surprise you. So have a little more patience. In the last 2 years, the country and the world has been plagued by larger problems. The economy has been, managing the economy during the COVID crisis has been a big task, huge task. So center's priorities are obviously focused on the more pressing challenges today. But rest assured, every time you ask us for the date, we surprise you that we have done in the past, and we will surprise you yet again in the time to come.
Look,
Bring out with the farm laws.
Okay, Manasvi Thapar, let's then
and the laws on the Kashmir. What
Okay.
was the hurry then during this COVID period? COVID was
Heena,
and who stopped you to make rules and regulations from the CAA?
Can I come
There
in?
was a hurry for the CAA as well.
So the view is when the center wants to come out with a law, then nothing can really stop it. But when it does not want to, then there are these kind of debates that we keep on having, because the Supreme Court this time again has given one last opportunity to the center. I'll get Tuhin to respond to that very quickly, but Manasvi first, and then Mr. Madan.
You keep bringing
Heena, the
Tuhin,
parliament.
one second.
Yeah, the parliament should always and have always been in the past worked on certainty. We don't have a parliament of surprises or shocks. We have to have certainty of what we are going to have in the next course of action by the legislature, by the parliamentarians. Now, what my friend Tuhin said, that we need to have some patience, we need to take some time to create a law like Uniform Civil Code, definitely. But that is something you need to communicate. We should not come on a debate here at 9 and tell to the country that we need some time. You should tell it in the Supreme Court. While Supreme Court is asking you, ASG is telling the reason of delay is COVID-19, and it is not that it's a diverse nation. We have lots of communities and sects, and that's why we need time. The difference of opinion, the difference of dialogue between Mr. Tuhin and ASG is Jameen Asman ka farak. One is saying COVID-19, another is saying it will take some time and we'll bring some surprises to the parliament. That is not how the country or democracy or parliament functions. You have to have a certain path that there is where our country is going to go in 2022.
So let me respond to
Kapil Madan, then I'll give the last word to Tuhin Sinha.
Yes. So my friend
Tuhin, I'll give you time. Let Kapil Madan make his point.
Yeah. So my friend Tuhin here made a mention that the country was struggling with COVID and the government was busy in reviving the economy that was shattered by the COVID. So let me also remind him, it is the same time the government was spending a sum of rupees 20,000 crore on Central Vista. So we all know what if you have the will where you want to spend resources, time, you do that. So you please don't tell the viewers here that the government was focusing on reviving the economy and therefore could not really take up this issue. That is point number one. Now, the second point here is the fact of not filing the affidavit before the court. So let me also remind Tuhin, my brother here, that when someone criticizes the government on Twitter or raises any kind of argument against the government, they take few hours to register cases, slap UAPA against those people, and arrest those people overnight. So when you have the will to act, and why I'm mentioning here is that is also a judicial process. I mean, if you can use resources in filing cases, FIRs and UAPA and arresting people, then of course you can also file your affidavit in time before the Supreme Court.
Where there is will, there is way. That's the view. Tuhin Sinha, I want to give you the last word now.
A lot of false equivalence being drawn over here to the UCC issue. The farm laws were brought in during the COVID crisis because it was a part of the reforms process, which we firmly believed in. But when we realized that, there was things were going on.
You don't believe in UCC then? You don't believe in UCC then?
It will
happen. Is that what you're saying?
I quite appreciate the fact that every time you guys provoke us with Tariq ka bataoge, we are only motivated to surprise you in the time to come. So I'm glad you do that. Again, somebody raised, my friend from the Congress raised an equivalence about, the 20,000 crore being spent on Central Vista. This is something which has been going on, which was initiated way back in 2012. Why? Because there is a delimitation clause in 2026. You need to have 30% more MPs, which can't be accommodated in the present parliament. So do you want the country to stop? At least don't raise the false equivalence. UCC will happen in the time to come. That is my assurance to all of you today.
Okay, you said that
This
you
may
will
go to the
surprise the
next
country
election,
very
that
soon.
means.
But
So
first,
this
I
may go
think
to
you
the
should
next election. We are
submit
not
the
certain about it.
affidavit. First, I think Centre should submit the affidavit in the Supreme Court, and then, of course, should
Let
look
us
at
see this
surprising us
affidavit
because you've
first.
been getting
Well,
the last opportunity
let
for a
us
very,
read the
very long
affidavit.
time. Yes. Yes, that's the need of the hour. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Another opportunity has been given by the Supreme Court to the centre. We'll see what eventually now comes out on this. Thank you for the moment for joining us.